Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today's video is going to be another art doll making video. It is a second part of some rat commissions that I did for a customer of her pet rats. This is I think it's just a regular white rat with a little like brown marking on its face, but basically sculpting the pieces from polymer clay. So I'm using Sculpey Original for this one. It's the white Sculpey that you can see, and I'm using a aluminium ball foil core for like a little armature inside of it, and all of the pieces that are sort of a beigey pink color I'm using Super Sculpey, so that's the nose, the ears and the hands, which the hands are made from Cos clay actually, but it's the same sort of color. So I just basically rough out a rough head shape of the rat, and then I start sculpting. And so I start roughing in the shape a bit more and just using my fingers to slowly make the basic sort of outline, you could say, and then adding the little jaw. The rats are really difficult for me to sculpt for me personally, because I think it's really easy for it to end up looking like some other rodent, like a hamster or something like that. So yeah, it's a very fine line between rat and different rodent. So I played around with the nose a little bit to make sure I got the nose correct. I've always got reference images up on my computer next to me, and from different angles as well. It really helps. And yeah, just working from there. Moving on to the eyes, I use some glass cabochons for the eyes, and just sort of slowly start sculpting in. I'm not adding too many details at the moment to the sculpt because I like to get the shape first and then sort of add details, but I'm going to be covering it with faux fur anyway, so you don't need to go too ham on the details anyway. So I'm just basically working on the eyelids. This is the way I do eyelids, and it's just basically using a little worm and working from there, adding all the little details and everything. And you can see it adds, it can really get different expressions with the way the eyelids are. So rats are, because their eyes are sort of really bulbous, it's hard to get the bulbous look to them, I guess, especially with these cabochons that are a little bit more flat. So you sort of just have to play around with the eye shape for a while to make it look like the correct rat, and then slowly building up all of the brow line and the skull and everything like that, ready for the next part, which is the ears. Again, I'm using Super Sculpey for the ears, and just doing a rough ear shape and twisting it on itself, and it creates a nice little tubular sort of ear. And then I'm going to be attaching it to the head as well. You can pre-bake your heads if you're happy with the way it looks, but for this one I like to do it all at once, but I have pre-baked things before, things that are a bit more detailed, or if I'm doing a movable jaw or something. But for this one it's pretty simple, so I just sculpted the whole thing all together, adding the ears. And these ears were a little bit different than the Dumbo Rex ears, so I had my Dumbo Rex sculpt next to me to make sure it wasn't the same as this one, and then adding all the little details like some faux fur lines. You don't need to add too much because again we're going to be covering it with fur. Moving on to the hands, so I'm using Cos clay again, and I'm just cutting out little sausages for the hands. You can see in my other video that I sculpted the hands, and this is what they look like when it's all attached. The armature I'm using is the smallest armature, which is I think it's the 1/8 size. It's the smallest one, and I'm just wrapping it with pipe cleaners, and the pipe cleaners just act as like a little catch for the polyfill that I'm going to be wrapping and sculpting from, or felting from, and that way it's easy for it to cling to the armature and it doesn't sort of slide around everywhere. So needle felting the body with the polyfill is sort of a kind of a new technique that I've been doing for the last few years, and I find it really helps with the shape of the animal a lot better than doing my old technique. So yeah, I tend to do this. It takes a bit longer, but I think it's worth it. Just painting around all the bits that are going to be visible after I apply the faux fur, which is usually around the head, the mouth, the eyes, the nose, and ears in this case, and just dabbing some onto the feet as well, and then I'm going to be adding the skin, which is the faux fur. So I'm just using a white faux fur for this one, and I'm doing the torso piece first. That way I can then attach the legs after the torso piece, and I can refine it a bit more. And I'm using a lattice stitch to sew everything up together. And a good quality thread is always needed because you need to pull and sort of tug on that stitch, so low quality thread tends to snap a lot. So I definitely recommend getting a good quality thread. All the little details now, adding the faux fur to all of the bits, including the head, and then adding little bits of detail onto the painted surfaces again, just to bring out, because it sort of gets washed out a little bit, and just adding some detailing like whiskers. I have a tutorial in my shop if you want to see what I do for whiskers or how to do it. So head over there. I'll try and remember to link it, never do, but it's in my shop. And that's pretty much the summary of how I made this doll. It was a commission, so these aren't for sale. I have a few more dolls in my shop if you want to check that out. Payment plans are welcome. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Patreon. Thanks to my patrons, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!